Boom. Boom. What's up, everybody? All right. So I'm going to give everybody a few minutes to jump on the stream. I know these are smaller streams than we have over on Shop 31. That's okay. We're still a growing channel. This is our first episode of Horror Hangout Live where we're going to do a true crime story. So I've got the Wikipedia page pulled up, and I know a fair amount about this particular person because of where she's from. She's from Houston. I got actually a pretty cool kind of little bit of information I'll give to you guys. We'll wait a couple of minutes. As a matter of fact, I need to grab something really quick. Give me about 30 seconds. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back. Okay. Let's see. Sorry about that. Yeah, so this will be about Susan Wright. She killed her husband, I believe, in the early 90s, if I'm not mistaken. So like I said, we'll wait a couple of minutes. Pretty soon I'll have StreamYard going, and I'll be able to show you guys photos and stuff. This is about to get way better, and I'm pretty excited about that. So to anybody that's involved, anybody that's watching this in the future, thank you so much. I appreciate the support. This is stuff I take very seriously, and I work really hard to bring you guys quality content. And I'm still learning. I haven't perfected anything yet. I don't know if that'll even ever happen, man. Perfection. I mean, come on. Pardon me. There we go. Checking volume. Volume's good. Make sure you jump on and what in the world? Sometimes I don't understand some of the stuff going on. Excuse me, with YouTube. So let's see. Man, I cannot wait to get StreamYard going. That is going to be awesome. on the Wikipedia page, it says not to be confused with Susan Wright, the politician. Let's see. Cool, man. Well, man, I wish I could show photos and stuff, but it's okay. I'm gonna wait another couple of minutes. About 3 or 4 more minutes. Let anybody else that wants to get on with us live get on with us live. I am on about half an hour earlier than normal. I'm trying to inch my time back a little bit, so because 2 p.m. my time is just right in the middle of my day. I can't keep doing it like that. So I'm thinking about doing it in the mornings. If I create a good thumbnail and I'm able to get StreamYard going and put images on the screen or small little video clips, I think that will produce after the fact viewing, and that will be a good thing. So I guess sometimes I don't have to pay attention to the chat, huh? So excuse me, man. I don't know what's going on with my throat. I guess it's allergies or something. But yeah, Susan Wright, she's the lady in the thumbnail. Crazy situation. She got released about a year ago. Actually, almost exactly a year ago. In 2 weeks from today, it'll be 1 year ago that she got out of prison. Crazy. You can murder somebody in the 90s. It's 2021 and you're out. Word. That's crazy to me. Wait, did she just get out? I'll read about it in a second. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start talking about the topic for the day so that anybody that's on here in the future doesn't have to wait 25 minutes for us to get going. So Susan Wright is a well Houstonian, or at least she was. She lived in Houston, to my knowledge, most of her life. So let's see here. Susan Lucille Wright was born on April 24th, 1976. She's an American criminal from Houston, Texas. What? Who made headlines in 2003? I thought it was the 90s. I'm sorry. For stabbing her husband, Jeff Wright, 193 times in an act of mariticide and then burying his body in their backyard. Dude, first off, I didn't know that mariticide was a word. It's when you murder your spouse. That's a bananas word that we even have. The fact that we have to have that word is pretty crazy. Um, she was convicted of murder in 2004 and given a 20-year sentence at the Crane Unit in Gatesville, Texas. She was denied parole on June 12th, 2014 and July 24th of 2017. She was granted parole in July 2020 and released from prison on December 30th of 2020. So like I said, today is December 16th of 2021. She will be exactly 1 year free and 2 weeks from today, which has got to be absolutely an insane feeling. Because like once you're out, okay, so I've only been to jail and only for a short amount of time compared to people that I know who've been to prison, right? But to my understanding, like once you're out, all the stuff you dealt with is no longer an issue. Like it was like, well, PTSD could be a thing. That's not what I didn't mean it like that. What I meant was it's like no longer a thing. You're done with it. You may have to deal with the ramifications of being in prison for a long period of time. The uh, the things that you what would you call it? The ramifications is the only word I can think of that that would the things you have to deal with post prison has got to be a lot of mental. So I've got not a lot, a few friends that have done some real time. Like when I say real time, I mean over 5 years. I mean, do anything more than a few months is a long time. But they sit at their table. Let me see if I can see this on the camera. I don't want to. When they sit to eat, they've been out some years now. Sit with their hands around the bowl or plate or whatever, and they eat like this. They never look at their food. And I've been at like restaurants. I was at a place called Luby's. It's like a cafeteria style place down here in Texas. And there was this dude. I saw him there quite often. The only reason I recognized him is because I saw him there frequently. If I saw him once, I probably wouldn't remember this. But he would always sit like that, and he reminded me of a couple of my friends. And so he asked me once if I'd ever done time. I assumed because of my tattoos. I told him no, I'd only done some county jail time, and time, a few months. But we got to talking, and he had done, I don't remember how many years and for what, but he had done some time in prison. And I just remember it was odd because he would sit like that. And it reminded me of my buddies. I just thought, wow, that's a unique thing. But anyways, look, I can't imagine the feeling of getting out. What I was talking about was getting out of prison. When she got out, I bet it was just, I mean, it's instantaneously everything that you were dealing with is now in the past. So, am I describing that okay? Like, you know how it is when you're waiting for something. The moment it gets there, you're no longer even. That's what prison's got to be like when you get out. I think, right? Because you're out and now you're just dealing with what life is like on the outside. I can't imagine walking out of prison. That's got to be one of the best feelings in the freaking world. I like on her little write up on the right hand side of the Wikipedia. It's like where she was born, her age, where she was born, Houston, nationality, criminal status, paroled, spouse, Jeffrey Andrew Wright, deceased. You think? Man, she had 2 kids. Doggone, man. Whew. So apparently she still lives in Harris County. I mean, what do you do when you get out of prison for that? Like, how do you get a job? So, as far as her early life is concerned, it says Susan Lucille Wright was born on April 24th, 1976 in Houston. Gives her parents' names. I'm not going to give that information out. You can go look this up if you want to. At the age of 17, she worked as a topless dancer at Gold Cup for 2 months. You want to hear a funny story? My dad was security at Gold Cup. When did she work there? So she was born in 76. So Let's see. Just because I don't want to have to do math and then fuck it up. So in 1993, holy crap. So I was 11. I don't know for sure, but I'd say that there's more than a reasonable chance that my dad was security there when she worked there. Interesting. I remember Gold Cup because I remember my dad worked there. In 1997, while working as a restaurant waitress in Galveston, she met Jeff Wright. They married in 1998 while she was 8.5 months pregnant with their first son, Bradley. In 2002, a daughter, Katy, was born. Mrs. Wright claims that her husband began to abuse her during the first few years of their marriage. Why don't you leave when people abuse you? Like, look, admittedly, I have never been a victim of spousal or physical abuse like that from a spouse. So I can only speak from an outside perspective, but it seems to me like if somebody's beating the shit out of you all the time, that you'd get up and leave. I know I would. Okay, here's where it gets interesting for me. This is why I picked out this story. So the crime occurred at the Wright family house in the White Oak Bend subdivision in unincorporated northwest Harris County, Texas. Okay, so where I grew up was northwest Harris County, Texas. And when I saw that she was from Houston, when I was looking up, interesting true crime stories from to do on the show, I just saw that this was from Texas. Immediately, I was like, "Oh, cool. Where from? Oh, Houston. Huh? Interesting. Oh, Northwest Side. Huh? That's where I'm from. Oh my goodness, she was in White Oak. Like White Oak was walking distance from where I grew up. Like where I grew up, like my really early years, from 5 to like 15. Shoot, I think I lived in White Oak for a while. What was that neighborhood called? White Oak. Let's see if I can text my mom and see if she'll tell me what the neighborhood was while I'm on the live stream. Let's see here. You know what? I bet I can get my mom on the phone. Hold on. If I can put her on speaker, she may hang up on me for putting her on the live stream, but we'll see. Let's ask her. Hold on. She's gonna get so mad.
Hello?
Hey, Mom.
Hey,
What you doing?
I'm in Coles.
Oh, I'm actually filming a live stream right now, and I want.
Really?
Yeah, and I thought of something. I thought I was gonna text you. I thought let me just call her. Like it'd be easier because they can hear the answer. People won't necessarily believe me, but I got receipts on this. So, whenever do you remember the name Susan Wright? She was a lady that killed her husband.
Well, yeah, sort of.
So I just found out that I'm doing a weekly live stream with true crime stuff, and I was looking for the first story to talk about, and I saw one from Texas. I was like, oh, cool, Texas. I clicked on it. I was like, oh, from Houston. Oh, from Northwest Houston. Wait, White Oak? What was the neighborhood that Janet and Jeremy lived in that we lived in with them before we all moved into Bon Air?
It was Oak Cliff Place.
Oak Cliff Place.
Next to there.
Right next to White Oak.
Yeah, that's right next to that.
Coming down Huffmeister, I think it was White Oak first, going towards 290, wasn't it?
No, go ahead. And what's that?
Coming down Huffmeister towards 290 from Bon Air, you would hit White Oak first, then Oak Cliff Place, right?
Yeah.
How crazy is that? She killed her husband and buried him in his backyard in White Oak.
Oh.
I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely nuts. Anyways, I just was trying to remember what the subdivision that we lived in first was Oak Cliff, which was next to White Oak. Man, it just blew my mind that somebody did that so close to where I was born, where I grew up.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah, she did it in 2003 or something like that, and yeah, just not. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, absolutely craziness. But anyways, I'll let you get back to shopping. I love you. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, love you too.
All right, bye.
Bye.
My mom, everyone. My mom's awesome. I'm shocked that she didn't hang up on me. I'll be honest with you. Carol, what do you mean, Vask Tech? What does that mean? some people are weak-minded and still no excuses for murder. You know, there are excuses for murdering somebody. If you're getting beat to a bloody pulp, you got the right to defend yourself, but you also have the opportunity to leave. You should. And she did this premeditated, so there's no excuse for premeditated murder, in my opinion. Okay, so yeah, it's so crazy. So according to evidence presented by the prosecution on January 13th, 2003, Susan Wright, who was 26 at the time, tied her husband Jeff, 34 at the time, to their bed and stabbed him 193 times with 2 different knives. Yeah, dude, like what? She buried his body in their Houston backyard. That was actually Cypress. What's up, Northwest Houston? You know who else is from Northwest Houston? Paul Wall, Chameleonaire, Slim Thug, and Mike Jones. All from the same area where I grew up. They're all the same age as me. Yeah, I didn't like know them, but yeah, we all ran in the same circles. She attempted to cover up the crime scene by painting the bedroom. Yeah, dude, you should have destroyed the bedroom. The next day, Wright filed a false domestic abuse report in order to get a restraining order against her already deceased husband. On January 18th, Wright asked her attorney, Neil Davis, to come to her home and admitting to stabbing her husband. Davis contacted the Harris County DA to inform them that a body was buried under Susan Wright's house and that she had confessed to the killing. You know what? That might be the best thing she did for herself, was calling and admitting it out of like guilt. But she turned herself in to the authorities at the Harris County Courthouse on January 24th and was arraigned on murder charges the following Monday. The Harris County Courthouse they're talking about is the one that I was just at when I did my video the other day. Oh, that's a different channel. I'm sorry. If you were a subscriber to Shop 31, I did a video about a car accident I was in and then the preceding garbage that happened afterwards. And that Harris County Courthouse is where I was at. It's so crazy that this happened so close to where I grew up. It's just, I don't know, it's just nuts. I mean, literally the Oak Cliff, I can't believe I couldn't remember that name. Oak Cliff Place and White Oak were literally so close that it was just a wooden fence dividing the two. I think that's what it was. It might have been a small ditch. I can't remember, man. It's been so long. But I used to play out there. I used to catch frogs out there. First time I ever took mushrooms was right behind that neighborhood. But yeah, this is just, I mean, it's so nuts. So as far as the trial, 13 months after her arraignment, Wright's murder trial commenced on February 24th. Good grief. She stayed in county jail for 13 months waiting on trial to start. That is insane. She had already pleaded not guilty to killing her husband by reason of self-defense, except she tied him up. What are you talking about? And look, and if he beat her, dude, maybe he got his comeuppance, you know. But you got to take your licks when you do something bad. You know, that's bad. You should look. If he's beating her, he's a piece of garbage. Or maybe he should have been thrown in jail. Let them dudes handle it. But you throw your whole life away when you do something like this. The prosecutor and Wright's defense attorney had very different portrayals of her. Shocking. Assistant DA Kelly Siegler depicted Wright as a scheming wife who seduced her husband into bed, tied him up, and repeatedly stabbed him, and then buried his body in their backyard, all in hopes of collecting a $200,000 life insurance policy. Wright's defense attorney, Neil Davis, claimed that his client had suffered years of physical and emotional abuse by her husband and killed him to protect herself and her 2 young children. I would say, as a reasonable adult, it is probably a combination of the two. There's no way that she wasn't mentally and physically abused. I don't think she just killed him for no reason. I can't imagine. People do that, but I'd say it's probably highly unlikely that it was the reason why she did it, other than, you know, you don't just wake up one day and kill somebody that you're married to for no reason often. That's a very highly unlikely situation. At her trial, Susan Wright testified in her own defense. Wow. I don't know, man. You get tied up doing that. Anybody ever been to court, been on trial before? Small trial, but I've been on trial. In her emotional testimony on the stand, Wright claimed, "I couldn't stop stabbing him. I just couldn't stop. I knew as soon as I stopped, he was going to get the knife back and he was going to kill me. I didn't want to die." She testified that on the night of the murder, Jeff Wright was on a cocaine binge and was violent, excuse me, having allegedly beaten her. Wright once again insisted that she stabbed her husband in self-defense. Susan Wright's mother, among others, testified for the defense, claiming they witnessed Wright's bruises. You know. Siegler and Wright's tears were faked to try and sway the jury. The prosecutor, wow. Oh, Siegler said Wright's tears. Oh, Siegler, the prosecution. Got it. The prosecution presented an unusual demonstration by bringing the Wright's actual bed into the courtroom. Good grief. Dude, lawyers are shameless sometimes, man. People don't want to see that shit, dude. During closing arguments, Siegler brought up to the jury just how Wright had been a topless dancer, and she had believed Wright's emotions were insecure. She contended that Susan Wright was a card-carrying, obvious, no doubt about it, caught red-handed, confirmed, documented liar. Okay, I mean, that's a different situation, I would imagine, right? Whose frequent shows of emotion during the trial were deliberate efforts to to influence the jury. May have been. I should have taken some allergy medicine before this. I'm sorry. I will do that next time. The verdict. On March 3rd, 2004, after more than 5 hours of deliberations, the jury convicted Wright of murder. Wright showed little reaction to the guilty verdict, as I'm sure she was shocked as she got it. In 2009, the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals granted Wright a new sentencing hearing after determining that Wright's counsel rendered ineffective assistance during the punishment phase of the trial in 2004. I wasn't there, so I don't know. According to the evidence adduced during the 2010 punishment trial, it was shown that the prosecution's theory that Jeff was tied to the bed was not supported by the medical examiner who excavated the body. The medical examiner testified that Jeff had a significant amount of cocaine in his body the night that he died, so much so that Jeff's body had not metabolized all the cocaine. The cocaine evidence supported the defense's assertion that Jeff was intoxicated the night of his death when he came home from a boxing class and punched his son. Jeff also had several knife wounds on his hands, forearms, back, and the backs of his legs, indicating defensive wounds inconsistent with being tied to a bed. Okay, first off, he came home and punched his kid. Hey, give us a like if you pop in. I'd really appreciate that. Give us a like, maybe a comment, even if you're just watching this later on down the road. So, okay, if he came home and punched his kid, he should have got punched back just for that. I believe in you get what you give. If he's beating his wife up, the more I'm reading this, the more I don't really have a problem with what she did. If he was doing a bunch of coke and beating his kids up and then smacking her around, I don't think she should have done it, okay? But I'm not going to condemn her for it. Maybe 20 years is okay. Although I feel like if this was a black woman that killed her black husband, they might have given her a longer sentence. I don't know, man. It's a tough one. I think a lot of it depends on their past criminal history. You always hear like, oh, if it was a black man, he would have gotten twice as much time as this white dude. I mean, maybe, but why? I don't think it's just because they're black and white. I think that's a silly argument. So I wish I hadn't said what I said. So my apologies. It is something I think about, though. I mean, it's odd that came in my mind. On November 20th, 2010, Wright had her sentence reduced to 20 years in prison, 5 years less than her original sentence. Wright was first eligible for parole on February 28th, 2014 at the age of 38. She was denied parole then on June 12, 2014, and again on July 24, 2017. Wright was approved for parole on July 20th, 2020, and then she got out of jail on December 30th of that year. She was released on parole at the age of 44. Interesting, man. So as far as her stuff being referenced in pop culture, Wright's murder trial has been nationally televised on Court TV. Her case was also profiled on Snapped in 2004, 48 Hours Mystery in 2005, on an E-episode special entitled Women Who Kill, on the Deadly Women episode of Lethal Love. On the Deadly Women episode Lethal Love on ID in 2011, and on an episode of Secret Lives of the Stepford Wives in 2014. Wright's case also was the subject of the 2012 Lifetime original movie Blue-Eyed Butcher, starring Sarah Paxton and Wright and Lisa Edelstein as Kelly Siegler. Sorry, I may have to just get glasses. In 2014, Canadian director Chloe Bellenday released a 17-minute short film entitled Wheel of Fortune, which was inspired by the murder trials of Wright and Guy Turcotte. I don't know if that's his name. A man who stabbed his 2 children to death in Canada. What? The film premiered at the Cannes Film Fest in May 2014. Oh, man. That is absolutely brutal. Wow. So, as far as my opinion on Susan Wright, I think that if she was getting beaten up on and physically abused, especially if she was like sexually assaulted, or if her kids knew about it, then I would personally prefer if you called the police, moved out. Like, there was no mention of a restraining order prior to her doing this. Um, the fact that they said that the stab wounds all over him was indicative of not being tied to a bed. My first thought was like, maybe, but she might have been stabbing him all over. But then I thought, nah, because there was like a, hey, Amy, how you doing? I don't know what that stuff means, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. Anyways, I thought about it and I was like, well, if there's on the back of the legs and arms, then clearly dude was fighting back. But like, I don't know. She said I just couldn't quit stabbing him. I feared if I had stopped, he'd grab the knife and kill me. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I imagine so. I imagine so. I would, and not that I would even blame him. Look, he was doing some heinous stuff. He deserved prison time, not necessarily stabbed to death. Although, my personal opinion on the matter is if you beat a woman and you abuse her and you hit your kids, then you get stabbed up for it 193 times, bro, I mean, you got what was coming to you. I do think that in cases like this, when there's at least reasonable assumption that the person that was killed was doing heinous activities, really gnarly crimes, and physical and mental abuse on another person, that should be taken into account. And it might be. I don't know that much about the law. I'm just interested in true crime stories. I know a little bit about the law, but I never studied it, and I never went to school for it, so I don't want to speak out of turn. But I think that that stuff should be considered more than I feel like it is. Uh, Man, so crazy. 193 times. How much energy do you think it takes to expend, or how much energy do you expend, rather, to stab somebody 193 times? Just do this 193 times with some force, like with force and because you wouldn't have to pull the stop. So I guess just throw your arm up and down 100. My goodness, dude, I'd get to about half that and be flat out exhausted. So I feel like something was going on when she did it. Maybe it wasn't premeditated. I don't know. This is a really, really odd situation. And on Wikipedia, anyways, we weren't given enough information for me to really know. You know what? Let me go back to that and see if it had a separate. Let's see. Trial. No, it doesn't really say. It doesn't really give me a link to like a trial on this specific you know, doesn't give me information on the trial for the specific crime. Oh, my brain's going a million miles an hour. Whew, man. Well, Susan Wright, the what they call her, the blue-eyed butcher. That'll be the what's the word I'm looking for here? Topic of discussion for our first true crime live stream over here on Horror Hangout. These will get a little better. Once I get StreamYard going, I can show you guys photos and things. That'll probably benefit me quite a bit. And, it'd be a much more enjoyable video at that point. Maybe I could put some background music in on the live streams at that point. I don't know. I'm still learning this stuff. If you have any advice for me or anything like that, please shoot me an email, man. Feel free to email me something. If you do it in the comments, there's a likely chance I don't see it. But if you email it to me, I'll find it. Man, that's crazy. I can't get over the fact that 193 stab wounds. Like, what's that even look like? Can you imagine being a medical examiner? There's a couple of jobs that I don't want. First and foremost, I don't want to be a police officer. No, thank you. Not only are they pretty universally hated at this point, but the amount of stuff that they got to walk up on and look at and experience is just more than I'm willing to deal with. No, thank you. Medical examiner, like mortician, no. I had a girlfriend once that wanted to be a mortician. If I'm not mistaken, she got to do it for a little while. And I just couldn't believe it. I mean, this is well after we were together. I just heard from somebody else that heard from somebody else. I remember this case. The prosecutor brought the bloody mattress into the court and reenacted the murder. That must have been really impactful on the jury. Man, like, I don't even think that that's appropriate. I guess it is, man. It would have shocked me. It's absolutely insane. Does anybody want me to stop this live stream, which I'm fixing to do in just a minute anyways, because we're wrapping it up? Would you like me to get back on live and do a separate live stream and just see what's going on in the horror world? I have no problem doing that. I want to keep this one tidied up, though, for future viewers, if that's okay with you guys. I'll tell you what. It's 1:53. Let me take like a 7-minute intermission. Let me go to the bathroom, wash my face a little bit, maybe refill my drink, check on the dog, and I'll come sit back down and I will do another live stream and we'll just shoot the shit and hang out for a little bit until 3 o'clock when my kids get home, because I love doing this with you guys and y'all are awesome. So let me end this live stream here. Thank you so much for hanging out. I appreciate it. Anybody that watches it in the future, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I will get better at this because I'm determined to. So yeah, keep coming back. We'll have these every week. We'll have hopefully a true crime one every Thursday. I'm hoping that's what my goal is. We have Tuesday where we look at all the horror news of the week, and then Thursday I'm going to try to do true crime. And then if I can do true crime videos, in between, cool. All right. Well, then at least one person's coming back. I'll be back in about 6-7 minutes. Just give me a second. I appreciate it. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. Peace.